Alright guys, welcome back to the Alpha Male Clinic channel. We're back again to demonstrate another P-shot treatment to show you how versatile this treatment can be. Today we've got our long-term client, Andy. We first met in 2015.
Yeah.
So we'll do this interview by just asking you the questions and you're going to do most of the talking.
Oh, thanks.
So welcome back to Alpha Male Clinic. Andy, tell us a little bit about your journey of how you've ended up having the P-shot treatments.
Well, I developed Peyronies disease after having a penile pneuma implant removed due to an infection because I broke it. So, and surgical couldn't remove the scar tissue and just creating Peyronies to make it worse and worse each time.
So you had the surgery done in what year?
Oh, got to be 10 years ago now.
Okay.
For the implant. Then removed probably 2 years, well, changed 2 years after that, then removed a year after that, so about 7 years ago.
And you had the implant removed because it got infected and it failed?
It got ruptured and then caused internal infection.
And what did that leave you with?
It left me with scar tissue that's formed, Peyronies, which contracted and then curved the penis.
So for those of you who don't know what Peyronies disease is yet, is where the penis becomes curved because of scarring either on the underside or at the top of the penis. And in Andy's case, as you'll see later, the scarring is mainly on the top of the penis, which means that instead of being straight, it's ending up becoming more bent.
A bit like a pug dog's tail.
So that's the physical effects.
Yeah.
But in terms of the non-physical effects, what did that leave you with?
Well, it meant it was unusable.
Right.
Well, that's unfair. It's unusual sexually.
Yeah, with a partner.
With a partner.
Okay.
Even without, it was that.
So you couldn't.
No. So,
at all.
I couldn't see how you could.
So you were at that stage in 2015, and I understand you've done a lot of research.
Top professor from Germany had given me stretchers for it and vacuum pump systems. We tried. By 2015, we'd gone back and had another surgery to try and remove the scar tissue. And all that happens once you remove the scar tissue, while you're waiting for it to heal before you can get the stretcher onto it, the scar tissue reforms and makes it worse.
Yeah. Which
unfortunately is just, as it happened again last year. The doctor was convinced that this time he would remove the scar tissue and would aggressively attack it with a stretcher to hold it out and
no joy.
No joy.
And if you don't mind me asking, like, how much did these procedures cost you?
You don't even want to put a price on it. By the time you've flown to LA, stayed there for 2 weeks, just the surgical clinic to pay for the theatre is $2,000-3,000 plus the
procedure
itself. So it just keeps adding up.
And the revision procedures you had?
Yeah, I've had several. So.
Okay, so following on from that, so you had the scarring. I'm assuming you did a lot of research into what other treatments you could have had done to improve the scarring.
Yeah.
So just tell us a bit about those treatments.
In fairness, the only one that it comes down to now that they're possibly thinking is Kenalog.
Right, steroid.
Corticosteroid that you have injected directly into the scar tissue to soften it.
Yeah.
But then there's the chance with that it thins the skin as well, and it leaves the scar tissue wherever you inject it, a bit like Swiss cheese.
Yeah.
And the hope is then that you can stretch it and pull it fast. So that's
instead of being it becomes more like a mesh that can be stretched.
And you've got more stretch and flexibility to it.
But this is all theory, isn't it?
Yes.
Nobody had a definite answer.
You try and find a urologist in the UK that's prepared to do that.
Yeah.
And they go, no. And you can't fly out to Los Angeles every 4 weeks to have that done.
Right.
And once you commit to starting a series of that, you have to do it every 4 weeks.
Okay.
To make it work.
So you tried the stretcher.
Yep.
What other things were you recommended or you found yourself?
Stretcher is the one that they said. And you know what? Like I said, it did with combination last time with the PRP and P-shot. It did help.
Yeah.
But not enough to. I mean, and you can spend an hour and a half a day, twice a day with that stretcher on, not being able to move, sat there just in discomfort, because if you've not got it stretched that hard that it's painful, it's not doing anything.
So how would you class the impact that it's had on your life, having this problem?
Changed your life.
Yeah.
You know. Well,
changed your life, your relationships?
No.
Still
the same one.
Okay.
So
that's good. She's a strong woman with you.
Yeah.
Good. So how did you come onto the PRP? Why did you think the PRP and the P-shot was a good treatment for you?
Well, within the actual Peyronies, and because it had an infection, the skin had thinned as well. So that was what initially led me into the PRP, to thicken and rejuvenate the skin, to make the skin thicker, stronger and healthier.
Yeah.
So as you stretch it, it's not going to be as under stress. And then with the discussions with you about the ways we could take it further and the bits that could actually help make it.
Okay.
Move it on.
I just wanted to ask you about what kind of research you did around PRP, and then tell us how you ended up choosing Alpha Male Clinic as the place to come.
Well, I was literally trawling through urologists, doctors and everything to try and find other ways of treating it that weren't chemically invasive, that basically were a more natural way of doing it. And PRP, because it is your own blood and your own platelets, seemed the obvious choice. Trying to find somebody to do it was another matter. I trolled Google and
You found me on page 10.
the joy of Google. Yes. Right. But Google found you.
Yeah.
So.
And what had you heard from other clinics?
Oh, I don't know. Oh, we're not sure. Oh, we don't know anything about that. A lot of the PRP stuff was just purely about facial cosmetics and vampire facelifts.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of anything else. So
you kind of had no choice but to come to me?
Well, it was more the fact that you were the first one that actually stopped and listened to the questions and answered. So
patient.
And took the time to answer.
Yeah.
So that's what inspired confidence.
That's what makes a difference.
Yeah. Well, it inspired confidence.
Okay.
So.
And then you had your first treatment, and you subsequently, I think you had treatment every about 6 months for about 4.
I think we did we do a course of, and then we did it to 6 months, didn't we?
Yeah.
So yeah.
And so you started off, and I understand you felt some improvement. Tell us about that.
You can actually within, maybe not the first 4 weeks, but after about the first 4 weeks, you can actually see there was a difference
in the shape.
Yeah, and like I say, combining the stretcher before that had come to a halt. It wasn't gaining anything. It was stagnant, and you could then see that it had started to move again and started to get some progression.
Yeah.
So.
And you're still using the best stretcher that's available on the market, isn't it? The Peony Master Pro.
There is nothing better.
There's nothing better than that. The Peony Master Pro. Okay. So we're back again today.
Yep.
And what's made you have to come back?
Well, the surgeon suggested last year that I tried another procedure to remove some of the scar tissue with a hope that it wouldn't come back this time. And guess what?
It's come back.
So we're back to square one again.
Right.
So perhaps it's just stick to what we knew was working and progress with that.
So, I mean, even after the 5 years, the surgeons haven't caught up with this PRP thing? No.
Literally, surgery what they can do with a knife and fork, and that's it.
They just don't believe in all this self-healing malarkey.
Well, they don't. Yeah. If they can't cut it out, they're not interested.
Right. But they were happy to take your money at the beginning.
Oh yeah, and again. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so what would your advice be to guys who are thinking of having the P-shot?
To try it. You know what? There's all positives, and I can't see any negatives. You're not putting anything to your body that didn't come out of your own body. It's all yourself. So why would you try it?
Yeah.
You know what? Nothing ventured, nothing gained.
Yeah. And what about value for money?
Well,
in comparison to all the
comparison to surgery, I mean, forget the fact of how far I've got to fly and how much it costs to get there.
Yeah.
It's a speck in the ocean, and for the results gained, for the actual finances put out, it's by far a lot better than surgery.
Make it a no-brainer for you.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. All right. So let's get on with it. Get to the procedure.